You know, I'm actually a child of the 80s, and I lived through the whole period of no pain, no gain. Of course, now we all realize that that was absolutely absurd. And believe it or not, in the millennial, we've taken it to a new level. Today, we're talking about pain-free performance specialist certification with our guest, Charlie Marlow, today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Good day and welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. This is Garrett Williamson, president of Personal Edge Fitness. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you tuning in today. If you have any questions about this podcast or any others, or as always, any questions about dispelling the myths of health, fitness, and wellness, you can contact me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. You can also contact me on our website, which of course is personaledgefitness.com, and our Facebook page, which is Personal Edge Fitness. You're more than welcome to call and speak to one of us, our directors, or any of our exercise specialists and consultants. You can call us in our mobile store at 251-341-0927 or on the Eastern Shore at 251-651-0927. You know, as I said in the intro, I lived that ridiculous age of no pain, no gain. And honestly, I think that's what put bad names on a lot of exercises. Unearned, that's for sure. People would do exercises and they would injure themselves and end up going to the doctor. The doctor would ask them, what were you doing? He or she would find that a lot of his patients or her patients were coming in with these problems that, evidently that exercise is bad. Well, it's not true. It's what actually put a bad name to Olympic lifting. And I'm so glad to now see it come back. Well, what is interesting now is that we've actually, not only do we study with all of our exercise specialists and exercise consultants and directors having a 4-year degree in the field and a background in exercise physiology, kinesiology, sport medicine, or athletic training, we of course know how to avoid these things, but we've actually gone a step further. The research has now taken it to the level of an actual certification, and we actually happen to have a pain-free performance specialist on our staff, Charlie Marlow. Now, Charlie has a background in, actually, Charlie, since you're here, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Garrett.
Charlie, give them a little bit about your background as far as your education and the fact you played a little bit of sports too.
I did, yeah. So I grew up in Petal, Mississippi, started playing sports at a young age. Sure. I guess it was around the time of 7th or 8th grade that we started doing weight room for football. Right. And that's where I fell in love with fitness and weightlifting. Continued playing football through high school. Right. I was blessed to play 2 years of junior college at Jones College in Ellisville, Mississippi. Awesome. Had a lot of success there, a lot of fun. Then went to Southern Miss for my bachelor's degree. Got a bachelor's of kinesiology and exercise science.
Fantastic.
Sat for the CSCS exam by the NSCA there and passed that. That's kind of my background for school and sports.
Education, yeah. Fantastic. And then, of course, came and joined our staff, which we're so blessed to have you. Awesome. So, right, yeah. For those of you who don't know, the CSCS certification right up there, NSCA and ACSM are pretty much the gold standard when it comes to certifications. CSCS being one of the most difficult. It actually stands for Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. Now, you've been an exercise specialist here, but you took it a step further. You spoke to me about this several months ago, and it sounded extremely intriguing to me, but you were, I think I would have said yes about you going to this conference no matter what, just because you were so fired up and excited about it. But tell us a little bit about what you learned in the pain-free, I'm having to almost read this because I'm tripping over it. Pain-free performance specialist certification.
Yeah, so whenever I was just looking through online and just doing my own education and research online.
You're always doing that.
Yeah, I like that. The clients say I come up with new stuff all the time, ways to hurt them. So, exactly. But anyway, I came across this certification and it really piqued my interest because it teaches a lot of the things that we preach at Personal Edge, how to train somebody off of their level of wellness. And so basically the purpose behind the pain-free performance certification is to individualize and optimize the human movement system to train without pain.
Okay. So basically, like you say, it's training without pain, but you went even deeper than that. Honestly, Charlie, I think I wanted you on the show mainly because I've seen you doing some really weird stuff with some of our clients, but nobody's complaining. Everybody seems to be really enjoying it, and I haven't had a chance to delve into this on the floor with you, but you've got some warm-ups going on that are very different. Tell us a little bit about that.
At the certification, they taught us a 6-phase dynamic warm-up system.
Sure.
Basically, how it starts is you go from a kind of more of a low and a very easy introduction to the workout. It's very slow, and then it amps up as you go throughout the warm-up. And so you start off typically with some foam rolling, light dynamic stretching.
Sure.
And then the third phase, which is I think one of the most important, is the corrective exercise phase. And that's probably the one you've been seeing me do.
Yeah.
So basically, they teach us that everybody has this thing called a linchpin. The linchpin being everybody has whether it's shoulder mobility, hip mobility, something that's causing them to not be able to move to their best ability.
Almost like a problem point as far as their movement is concerned.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So it's an area of concern that we need to address. And
Sure.
so during that phase, we'll do some sort of corrective exercise that targets those limitations.
Sure.
And so the purpose of it is continue working on it, continue progressing it over a period of a few weeks,
Right.
for the purpose of it to help them be able to move better. Then, once that linchpin is better, we can find other linchpins that we might need to target. But it's the area that we need to spend the most attention on.
Yeah, I got you. When you're starting to do this with your clients, is it something that you pretty well pick up on? You're like, I believe they've got this area, or does it take you a while to find it? But how long does it take you to kind of center in on their linchpin?
Typically, just through working with them in a session, you can kind of find out, what bothers them just by general conversation. Like, hey, how'd that feel? How'd that set feel?
Sure.
And they'll be like, like kind of my shoulder was tweaking a little bit, or I feel like my right hip, like when I'm squatting, I don't get as deep. I feel like I'm kind of unbalanced, and then
Right.
it makes me think, oh, well, they might have an imbalance in their hips. They might do
Sure.
some more hip mobility because they're limited in their range of motion.
Right.
So yeah, I think just through conversation, asking them how the workouts are going, how they're feeling as they do the workout.
So when they point out that kind of ache and pain, is almost like a warning sign to you.
Right. Yeah.
I got you.
Just getting a gauge off of how they feel throughout the workout instead of having to guess.
Right.
Just ask them.
Right, and that's why I believe somebody like Charlie, because he's fired up about this, which I'm so glad he is. When he hears something like that, it's like music to his ears. Okay, let's go in and investigate that. So,
right.
You were telling me earlier before we started this, you were talking about somebody that one of our clients is not even a weekend warrior. I mean, you see, he's in his 40s.
Yeah.
But you noticed something in a very simple exercise.
Yes, I was going through a workout with one of our clients, and this guy's awesome. He works hard, and we were doing just some push-ups. Nothing too crazy. He was complaining of just some shoulder issues he was having when he was going down to the bottom of the push-up. And so one of the tests that they taught us at the certification course was the shoulder scour test. And basically what that does is you find the optimal angle of your arm as you go back into a push-up.
Okay.
And the head of the humerus will poke out a certain way at different angles.
So you're talking
as you bring it
about,
out.
excuse me for interrupting, you're talking about like at the bottom of the movement.
Yes, yeah, as you go down to the bottom of the
so-
push-up. Yeah.
Okay.
I took him through that test and found the optimal angle for his elbow to be at as he goes down to the bottom of the push-up. And
Sure.
I was like, all right, now redo the push-up. And he redid it. And
Right.
as soon as he got done, he's like, wow, my shoulder, it feels fine now. Like, that's crazy. And I was like, well, I mean, it's just simple angles and biomechanics. That was one of probably the coolest things that I've been able to see from the certification. It's like, well, man, like I actually had a practical thing that I could do to help one of our clients.
Exactly. That's like hitting a home run for us. I mean, it feels great when we're able to nail something like that real quick and just immediately see a difference, see a change, and out of a simple exercise. I mean, something simple as push-ups.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
You were talking about the 6 foundation movements or something. Tell me a little bit about that, because you're talking about push, hinge, pull. I know our listeners would like to know a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the 6 foundational movement patterns. So you
Sure.
have squat, hinge, lunge, push, pull, carry. So squat being like sitting down in a chair.
Right.
Hinge, bending over to pick something up.
Sure.
Lunge is a single leg exercise, and we do that all the time when we're walking, running.
Right.
And then you've got push, so there's a push up, pull as like a row, and then carry is something as simple as carrying a suitcase or your groceries, from your car. So.
And a lot of our exercises, of course, know the farmer's carry. I know
That's
relates to exercise.
Whole favorite.
Yeah, exactly. And we break down, when he's talking about push and pull, this is something we use a lot when we divide up to a split on our workouts, because we work with a lot of clients. We're able to work with clients back-to-back days and what have you. And we'll do a push-pull split. And so when he's talking about push, it's a push-up, everything pushing, push-ups, presses, chest presses, shoulder presses, these kind of things. So, and so he's got a way of basically breaking down, if I'm understanding this correctly, breaking all those down and finding those impingements that are really the things that cause pain. Am I correct?
Correct. They taught us different screens and assessments to do for these exercises.
Sure.
So a lot of them have very similar traits in that, neutral spine, making sure there's no unwanted rotation at the knees, hips, or ankles.
Right.
And so we look for those things. And if there are those red flags that do pop up, then we'll run an assessment, meaning we'll take them through a special test or something that can give us a little better idea of what might be going wrong.
I got you. Now, I want to make sure our listeners understand this, that some of the terminology you're using and things you're talking about, mostly people are thinking, okay, that relates strictly to athletes. This is for everybody.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're talking about all the way through the whole spectrum of our clientele, from our 7-year-olds all the way to our 94-year-olds.
Yep.
So some of these impingements, some of these problems that you're noticing, are they born that way, or do you find that this is something that people have developed, just kind of bad form or what have you?
Honestly, most of them are probably just things that people have developed just through bad habits, honestly. Poor posture, lack of exercise. I mean, if you tend to sit down all day, you're going to have tight hip flexors. You know, there's going to be things that your body's not made to be in a crunch position all the time. And so by going through this 6-phase dynamic warm-up and progressing the exercise properly like we've been taught, that's how we can, try to fix some of those things that the bad habits have caused.
Right. Okay. Awesome, man. I appreciate it. This is phenomenal. And I've been telling you for last few weeks since you've been back for this. I mean, you've been going so hard at it with everybody. I've been telling you, gosh, I want to learn more about this. So I'm glad we were able to get together and talk about it on the show. But what I would like to ask you is that's a lot of information. I mean, we tried to cram a lot in about this, and we could go in depth with any one of these. Now, I've done podcasts on squats. I've done podcasts on a push-up, on press work exercises. I'd like you to come back and let's go through some of those movements because I think that general overview is not going to be enough information for people to actually take something and use it. So I'd love to have you back on the show and talk about the variety of different movements.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to be back for sure.
Awesome. That's kind of in depth, I know, and that's a very broad overview of what Charlie's been trained to do and what we're actually using here at Personal Edge. But like you said at the very beginning, this is all done so that people can reach their level of wellness, working towards that and work to the best of their ability. So thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us on the show, and I appreciate you being here for this. And glad I caught you on air here so I can go ahead and get you to agree to come back. So
yeah, man.
If you're interested in learning more about that, you're welcome to contact us. Call us at the Mobile store at 251-341-0927. We can set you up for a consultation, actually just do an evaluation. And if you'd like to have Charlie actually take you through an evaluation, let's see where you've got impingements. We're all about teaching people to work out correctly. Whether you work out with us or you train on your own or we develop a program for you, listen, we just like everybody working out correctly. And this is a fantastic way to do it. We've always said there's no such thing as age. That is not determined. Your ability is not determined by a number on a calendar. So if you're having pain during some of these movements, most likely there's something that can be analyzed, that's something that can be changed. And it's something that we can help you with here and help you do what we always like to do, of course, help you reach your level of wellness. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to me at Garrett@personaledgefitness.com. I sure appreciate you listening today. Please like and share and tune in next week. We're actually talking about fitness and involving your pet. We'll be on with Dr. Mark Colicchio. Thank you again for listening today. And Charlie, thank you again for being with us.
Thanks, Garrett.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.